Hello, survivors. How's it going? Welcome to the Kentucky's Final Day Server Join Guide. All right. So in this join guide, we're going to go ahead and walk through how to join our server. Without further ado, let's get started. So the first thing that you want to do is, of course, go to our server, Kentucky's Final Day. Here I have the server rules up. Feel free to read those. You should read those. Then from here, we're going to go ahead and skip the support section here. I collapsed it. And the general section, we're going to move right past those to this Project Zomboid section here. Inside of this is going to be the server join guide. This guide is what we're going to follow in order to be able to join the Project Zomboid Kentucky's Final Day server. So Alex here, he's our moderator. He has been kind enough to give us this link that basically we click it to go up to step 1. There's going to be 3 steps to joining our guide. One step basically collapsed like 4 steps. I will be going over those manual steps at the end. So in this guide, the very first thing that we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and click this link here. This is going to open up it's going to open up our browser. Gosh, I'm sorry, I ran out of words there. It's going to open up our browser here, and it's going to take us to Kentucky's Final Day. This is going to be the mod list of all of our mods. Now, the first thing that I want to point out, because this is in the browser, most people are not logged into the browser. So we simply have to hit log in, and we have to log into Discord. Then, for me, I have the 2FA and everything, so it's going to ask me to use my Steam mobile app. Obviously, I'm not going to show that. And ask me approve or deny. I went ahead and hit approve, and boom, I'm signed in. My little face is here. Huzzah. So with Kentucky's Final Day, we can go ahead and hit subscribe to all. We get this little pop-up here that says subscribe to all. Do you want to add the items to all my subscriptions, or do I want to overwrite my subscriptions to contain only items from this collection? So what are the difference between the 2 buttons? So the first difference is if we add only, whatever we have already, whatever mods are already on Steam for Project Zomboid, this will add all of these 513 mods, as you can see here, next to all of the mods we've already subscribed to. If we override my subscriptions, it's going to remove all subscriptions from Steam for Project Zomboid and only subscribe you to these 513s. That's going to be up to you what you would like. I usually only hit add only, in which case it goes ahead and adds all of them. As you might have guessed, I was actually already subscribed to all of these, so it does not matter if you hit subscribe to all and you're already subscribed to some but not all. And if you're already subscribed to all, you can still do that, and then now you're 100% sure. Once that's done, we can go ahead and X out of this and go back to Discord. So from here, we're going to go to the next new step 2. Again, our mod Alex has given us this great link that will just jump us to the correct place. So this is going to be now a RAM allocation program. This is an exe file. The exe file is like an app, right? For example, when we run Project Zomboid, that's projectzomboid.exe, etc., etc. So what this does is effectively automatically does all of the steps that I will manually do at the end in a very quick succession. So what is RAM allocation? Basically, Project Zomboid has a limit on how much RAM. Let me minimize Steam here so it doesn't distract. How much RAM that Project Zomboid can actually request from your computer. In essence, if you have, let me take a screenshot here. Sorry, gonna take a screenshot to kind of show you exactly what I mean. Little Spiffo's gonna go with us. So if you have a total of 8 gigabytes of RAM, or whether you have 64 gigabytes of RAM, Project Zomboid has a limit of 3 gigabytes of RAM. So Project Zomboid will never ask more than 3 gigabytes of RAM from this computer or this computer. So having more RAM doesn't mean anything to Project Zomboid. The developers did this, of course, intentionally to make more inclusive computers. Let's say if you only have 4 gigabytes of RAM, you can still run Project Zomboid, right? So that's great. However, for a lot of mods, including ours, a lot of servers, including ours, that use a lot of mods in them, right? This 3 gigabytes of RAM is not enough, right? And your game will lag and it will crash the game. So how do we make best use of when you have a lot more RAM? We simply remove the ceiling, or rather unlock it, so that Project Zomboid can ask more of your computer. It usually will not need more than 16 gigabytes of RAM. That being said, you wouldn't want to put 16 gigs on 8. So what do? We basically are able to change things. This ceiling and RAM allocation was changed and removed by Aokia, which is our really prolific modder in the game community. I'm going to go ahead and remove this. This program basically here is a program that helps do all of that. Now, if you're more tech savvy and you're still not, sure about what could be inside the exe, gosh, my cat just decided to knock things over. Then what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and we can open this GitHub link. That window is gonna go ahead and take us into the source code for that exe file, so you can see that this is a trustworthy site and that there's nothing malicious. We want to be as open and as transparent as possible to gain all of your trust. Alrighty, with all of that being said, let's go ahead and download this RAM allocation. This is going to be a good pop-up here. This means that Discord is effectively looking out for you. If you try to download any type of exe file or anything like that, or rather any type of file that is not necessarily coming from Discord, etc., this pop-up will show up. This is very important because if you are downloading files from untrusted sources, like if someone through Discord DMs you some type of file, it might not be trustworthy. However, you do know that this is coming from Kentucky's Final Day, right? This can only be posted here by our admin Alex, in which case this is a trusted source and we can continue to download. This is going to go ahead and open a new tab on a browser, and it's going to allow me to download the Project Zomboid RAM allocation. We simply hit save and then it goes ahead and downloads it. Let's go ahead and open up the folder location. Oh, that's the wrong folder location, but I simply have to go to my downloads. Now, because I previously downloaded this already, let's go ahead into the one we downloaded. We simply have to go here. Once we double click it, we're going to get a very quick terminal. It's going to flash real quick, and that means that our RAM allocation is done. Now, before I click this, I want to make sure that my Project Zomboid is not running. It is not running down here, and if I go to Project Zomboid here, it is in the play, so we are good to go. Now I'm going to go ahead and double click this, and boom, we get this pop-up. This is a great pop-up as well. This means that your Windows computer is looking out for you just like Discord. Effectively, what happens is when there's a publisher that is basically not listed, a lot of launch programs, etc., don't have a publisher because you have to register and all this other stuff. So when someone just makes a cool tool for the community to use, they won't have a publishing license, which is normal. Like if I make an exe, I don't have a publishing license. I'm a professional software developer. Anyways, so how do we get over this? The only selection is don't run. We get around this by clicking more info. This will show us, hey, this is what you're trying to open. We can see that there's an unknown publisher, but again, we know that this is coming from Kentucky's Final Day. It is a trusted source, so we can go ahead and run anyway. Once we do that, I don't know if you saw there was a flash over here. That was basically the whole program running, and your RAM allocation is taken care of. We're all set and done. With that, we're ready to launch the game. All right, once this launches, I do want to show that the next step, we just scroll up a little bit to step 5. Step 3, right? But it used to be steps 2 to 4 was the RAM allocation, doing it manually. Our Project Zomboid is going to launch now, and I'm going to go ahead and sit here with you and do this in real time so that you can see that joining our server, just like joining any server with a lot of mods, is going to take a long time. So from here, I'm going to hit join. We're going to have lovely music playing in the background here. So now all we do is we copy this data. So here, as you can see, it says Kentucky's final day because I just recently added it. This is actually my second take of this video. It says server is not responding. That is okay, not a problem. Once you hit save, it'll actually say exactly that. I believe if I hit refresh, because I'm already there, it'll give the actual information. However, for me, it's going to repopulate all of that info, which we're going to type in. I'm going to type it along with you, just so, again, you can get that experience. So let's go ahead. So in this server join guide for favorite name, we're going to put Kentucky's final day. This is how I did it. I copied and pasted it because it has to be written exactly as it is. So copying and pasting is always the way to go. Remember, Control C for copy, Control V for paste. IP, for the IP, we're going to go ahead and copy and paste that IP address. You can also type it in manually, but that leaves us open to human error, which is huge in programming. We always want to copy paste because we can always hit the wrong key. For port, again, we're going to copy paste this port. It says server password leaves blank, no password, great. Description option, leave blank, great. Now we have username and password. Here you can type whatever username and password that you want. The username is going to be the name that appears above your character's head, and everybody will be able to see and greet you that way. Now, here is the thing with the usernames. I'm going to click on this so that it just autofills all my data. I'm going to remove this so that, again, it looks exactly like yours. Now, the thing about my username, Sir Rax Dies a Lot, is that it has spaces in it. What I recently found out is that if you create a username with spaces in it, if someone tries to whisper to you within the server, /w or /whisper, the spaces actually will not recognize your name. The spaces will actually end up messing with things. Now, I haven't tested it. It's possible that you might be able to add quotations around it and it would work. It didn't occur to me until literally this moment when I'm speaking to you. But in order to avoid that kind of stuff, I would recommend creating a username that does not need spaces. If I were to do mine again, I would just go with Rax. If I wanted to do Sir Rax Dies a Lot again, I could just use underscores, or I could just very a la hashtag use Pascal case and then just capitalize every new word, dies a lot. So it's up to you, whatever you would like your username to be. Your awesome username, then it's going to go with an account password. We need a username and password so that other people don't just type your username and then get access to your stuff. You can claim vehicles, you can claim safe houses, all that good stuff, but unless they have your username and password, they cannot log in. The opposite side of that coin is that if you're on this computer and then go on vacation to your, let's say your grandparents' house or something and jump on their computer, you can still jump on our server by simply inputting all of this information here, your username and password, and you will have direct access to your character because it is, I believe, saved in the server and not on your local computer. So that's the great stuff. So let's go ahead and hit join without further ado. And this is, like I mentioned, is going to take a while. Now, what is going to happen is you're going to have basically a lot of black screens because the text that appears at the bottom is basically predetermined by the devs because it's supposed to load the vanilla, which is rather quick. When we have a lot of mods, again, this is not just true of our server, but of a lot of heavily modded servers, actually all heavily modded servers, it usually takes a very long time to load up. When you do that, we always recommend to not click on the Project Zomboid screen. If you do, it's not the end of the world. If you click on it, for example, I'll click on it now. So right now, nothing happens. But after a little while, my cursor is going to turn into like an I'm thinking, like a swirly or a hourglass or something like that. And if you click during that time, it's because Project Zomboid is working extra hard, and us clicking will effectively prompt our operating system, Windows, to be like, hey, are you doing anything? And Project Zomboid is going to be so busy loading up all of the information that it won't be able to respond. So as you can see, my cursor just changed. If I click, oh, it loaded too fast the next time. So we get this little music here. So here, let's see, let me click, and now I get this gray screen. If it was not in windowed mode, if it was in like full screen mode or something like that, I would get that pop-up that says Project Zomboid is not responding. Kill program or wait for response. always hit wait for response. If I click on this, again, it's not a problem. So that you don't just sit here staring at a black screen, we can, of course, just go somewhere else, go onto a second monitor, or open up YouTube or whatever right in front of it, and then you can do He's a Legend. Apparently you could do whatever you want. It's not a big deal as long as we're not clicking inside of the screen. We simply just wait, and then it goes on and does its thing. All right, well, while that's loading up, let's go ahead and pull up our Kentucky's Final Day Discord, and then we're going to go ahead and walk through those manual steps 2 to 4. Cool. So without this exe program, let's say you don't want to do it, you don't want to follow it, that is perfectly okay. If you would like to do this a more manual way, we follow steps 2 to 4, which are down here. First, we have to find out how much RAM you have. This is going to be done by opening the Task Manager. You can do that with Control-Shift-Delete and selecting Task Manager, or the shortcut is Control-Shift and Escape. Control-Shift and Escape, and that's going to open my Task Manager over here. In here, I'm going to go into Performance, and then this is going to be the performance information about my computer. For you, it'll be your performance information for your computer. We want to go into this Memory section, and over here, we're going to see how many gigabytes of RAM we have. You can also see this second number here. It's 63.9, rounded up. But yeah, it's going to have 64 gigs for me. For you, it might have 4, 8, 16, 32, or I don't know if you can have more than 64, 128 would be. Anyways, however many gigabytes of RAM, we want to keep that in mind. So what's going to end up happening is we scroll down, and we're going to download one of these 3 files. These are the modified files so that you don't have to go into the code and manually change the RAM allocation. If you have 16 gigabytes of RAM, which is the most common, you want to download this, which will set your ceiling to 10 gigabytes of RAM allocation. Basically, it'll allow Project Zomboid to allocate 10 gigabytes of RAM. If you have 24 gigs of RAM or more, like I have 64, then I would get this one to set the ceiling at 16. If you have 8 gigs of RAM, then you want to use this one, which will increase it from a limit of 3 gigabytes to 4, and you should be able to run. This one might be a little laggy, but hey, we want to make sure that everyone can use our server. Finally, we're going to go ahead and click and download. Again, this is a good pop-up because it's saying, hey, I noticed that you're downloading something from Discord. If someone sent you some weird link, Discord's just making you aware that maybe you should think about who's sending this to you. Again, for us, Kentucky's Final Day, this is by our admin, Alex. So this is a trusted source, and we can go to continue to download. In the background, I don't know if you're seeing over here, we just have a black screen. So if you've clicked join, you're still watching this video, because like I said, I'm doing it real time with you. We're still having a black screen. All right, I'm going to hit save. So click to start is there. I'm going to go ahead and finish up these steps, and then I'll go ahead and click to start. If you would like to, I'm going to change my mind. If you would like to, just click, and then you'll listen. Boom, there it is. Again, don't click on the screen. If you do, it's okay. It's not the end of the world. You'll get this gray screen. Just wait, right? You can hit wait, not close. All right. Anyways, back to the manual RAM allocation. So manual RAM allocation, we're going to have this folder here. This is going to be a zip file. We're going to right click and extract all. We can go ahead and just extract it to here. And then here is the extracted files. The music changed, so that means that the game's loading up. As you see, it's no longer gray in the background, so it's just doing its thing. These 2 files we have to drag into the actual Project Zomboid file. By the way, if you didn't do this manual one, congratulations, you're in the server. Welcome, and we'll see you there. Otherwise, if you're still following the manual steps, I'll see you in a bit. First, let's make sure that we're not running Project Zomboid to do RAM allocation. So let me close that to the desktop. Cool. Then we're going to have these 2 files. These 2 files, we need to drag them into the actual Project Zomboid folder, the main Project Zomboid folder. So how do we find that? We can find that by going to Steam. Let's say that we started at the store here, right? I'm going to go ahead and go into my library. I'm going to click library, and that's going to pop up all of my games. If you don't have favorites like I do, simply go into the uncategorized section and scroll down to P and find Project Zomboid. Because I've favorited mine, mine is at the top. Once you find Project Zomboid, right click, and then we'll be able to go to Manage. In Manage, we're going to go and find Browse Local Files. We're going to go ahead and select this option, click, and then we're going to go ahead and get this File Explorer. This area here, notice this is the Project Zomboid folder. This is the actual folder where we want to drag those two files into. I'm going to make this slightly smaller. I'm going to make this slightly smaller. So this is the Project Zomboid RAM allocation. I'm going to select these two files and I'm just going to click and drag them over here. Now, before I drop them, I want to show you. Right now, I'm putting it in the middle, but it says copy to JavaX. That means that it's going to drop these files inside of this folder. We do not want that. We do not want these files to go into any of these folders. We want it to go into the Project Zomboids folder specifically. You can just hover over the name, or you can just hover over to the side or over some of the other files. Just be aware. Now, if you scroll down and find the actual Project Zomboid exe, which is one of the things that we are replacing, so Project Zomboid 64, be aware that you can go ahead and drag it here and it says open with Project Zomboid 64. You can end up with an incorrect drop. So again, just make sure it says copy to Project Zomboid, drop it. Then you're going to get this replace. If you drop them and you do not get replace or skip files, we did something wrong. Even if we've already moved them in here because it's the same files, the computer won't know, right? And it'll ask you to replace every single time. So we're going to go ahead and replace them. That is what we want to do. And just to show you that to you, even though I just drag and drop them, copy to Project Zomboid, it's going to ask me to replace them every single time. And this is now the end of the RAM allocation. We have now completed it. We can now go to step 5, run Project Zomboid, and do all of the stuff we were doing in the background while I was showing you the manual. Again, all of those steps we do not need to do because all of those steps are done automatically by our Project Zomboid RAM allocation, which was done by our amazing modder that we commissioned, Aokia. All right, well, I'm excited to see you all on the server. Thank you for joining me. Have an amazing day.